In this video, we're gonna create our cloud objects in Adobe After Effects, so without wasting time, let's get started. At first, we need to create a composition in After Effects. For name, enter Cloud1. Leave all settings as they are, we don't need to change anything, so press OK button. Now we have Cloud1 composition here in Project Panel. I want to create a cloud here in right bottom corner, so use Pen tool and click and drag in composition window to create something like a circle shape, but not a perfect circle. Let's change the color to white. Now enable Convert Vertex tool and let's zoom in a bit. Let's use Ctrl key to move some of these points. And then click and move the handles to form a circle or an ellipse shape. Now I want to select this layer. As you can see, the anchor point is here outside of the circle shape. To move the anchor point to the center of the object, we can use this pan behind tool to move it. But if you hold the Ctrl key, you can snap it to these control points and also to the center. Now I want to duplicate this object several times, so let's select it. And let's rename it first. Change its name to Cloud1. Let's open content section and then select this shape 1 object. When I put my mouse over this shape and if I press the Alt key, as you can see, we have 2 cursors. It means if I click drag, I can duplicate it. Let's repeat this process to duplicate it several times and reposition them to cover this section of the composition. Now let's change the size of them a bit. So select one of these control points and move them to make it smaller. Let's change this circle as well. It seems we need to change anchor point of this shape. So let's use pan behind tool and move it to the center. And now we can rescale it easily. Repeat this process for other circle shapes as well. We can rotate or scale them in different axes to create different shapes. Now let's fill this empty section. So select Contents property and we can use Pen tool to draw a shape that fills this empty area. So let's click several times to create a closed shape. Now we can select these shapes and let's scale it. Okay, it seems we have to move this anchor point to the center of the object. So press the Y key to enable pan behind tool. And now press the V key to switch back to selection tool. And now we can scale this object from the center easily. We have successfully created the first cloud layer. So let's lock this layer for now. Now I want to create the second cloud layer. So let's use Pen tool again. And let's change the fill color to, for example, a bright gray. And now I start to click and draw the second layer. To change the shape from a straight to a curved line, simply click and drag and adjust the handle position. Click a few points here and don't worry, we will adjust the handles of these points soon. Now again let's use Convert Vertex tool and let's zoom in a bit. And now click on each point and drag. And also we can modify the handle position as well. And use the Ctrl key to move a point while using Convert Vertex tool. Follow the same process for other points. This is our second cloud layer, so let's rename it to Cloud2. Now I want to create the third cloud layer, so let's use Pen tool again. And for the fill color, we can use a darker gray color. Lock the second cloud layer and let's draw the third layer. In this stage, just click to draw the main form of the cloud. We will adjust these points and handles, so simply click and drag these points quickly. Rename this layer to Cloud3. Unlock this layer as well. Now I want to add a few narrow shapes to this Cloud1 layer to have a bit detail on this cloud object. So for the fill color, let's select Eyedropper tool and pick this bright gray color. Let's use Pen tool and now click here and then click drag here and finally click on the first point. Again, let's use Convert Vertex tool and start modifying this shape until we create a narrow object, something like this. Now move it to a better position. Now let's duplicate this shape layer by pressing Ctrl D. As you can see, anchor point of this shape is here, so press Ctrl, Alt, and Home buttons to move it to the center. And now let's scale it down a bit. Now I want to add these two narrow objects to Cloud 1 layer, because later on I want to add a turbulent effect to each layer, and I want these two objects to have a similar effect to Cloud 1 layer. So let's open Content section of Cloud 1 layer. And now select this shape 1 of this layer, that is this shape, and from the menu choose Edit, Cut. Now select Contents of Cloud 1 layer, and from the menu choose Edit, Paste. Now this shape is a part of Cloud 1 layer, but it seems it's under all other layers of this object, so let's find it and bring it up above all other shapes. Now let's select it and move it to a better position. As you can see, this content section of this layer is empty now, so we can delete this layer. Let's follow the same process for another narrow object. Now I want to parent Cloud 2 and Cloud 3 to the Cloud 1 layer. So right click and choose Columns, Parent and Link, and simply parent them to Cloud 1. For Cloud 1, anchor point is here, so let's press Ctrl, Alt, and Home buttons. Repeat it for Cloud 2 and Cloud 3. This is our final Cloud 1 composition. And let's go back to Final Composition and drag this Cloud 1 composition above the globe shadow layer. And also make it ready. Now I want to add another cloud object here at the left side, so let's duplicate Cloud 1 and open this composition. As you remember, these Cloud 2 and Cloud 3 layers are parented to Cloud 1. So let's reverse the Cloud 1 in x-axis using the scale parameter. So unlock this uniform scale button and change the scale x to -100. Now simply move this cloud layer, for example somewhere like here. And I want to change the form of this cloud object. So we can select shapes in content section. We can scale or even rotate some of these elements. It's up to you. Let's go back to Final Composition and drag Cloud 2 above the Cloud 1 composition. Make it 3D. And let's scale them down a bit. So change a scale value to, for example, 80. And let's move them to correct position. Now I want to create and add some small cloud objects here at the center of the composition. I want to rotate them around the globe to have more details and moving objects in our motion graphics. These small objects can have a huge impact on your motion graphics and make it look more professional. So let's create a new composition and rename it to Cloud 3. Use Ellipse tool. And for fill color, select white. And disable stroke, so set it to none. Now click on the composition window, hold Shift and Ctrl keys to draw a perfect circle from the clicked point. Rename the shape to Cloud Layer 1. Press Ctrl, Alt, and Home buttons to move the anchor point to the center of the shape. And then press Ctrl and Home buttons to move the object to the center of the composition. Okay, now select Ellipse 1 from Content section and press Ctrl D to duplicate it. Then select and move it a bit. You can change the shape and form by scaling. Duplicate more shapes to form the cloud object. This is our first cloud layer. Now I want to add a shadow under this cloud, so use Pen tool. Change the color to, for example, a bright gray. At this stage, just click a few points. Don't worry, we will change them soon. And finally, close the shape by clicking on the first point. Now using Convert Vertex tool, we can edit these points and handles. Let's add a vertex here. To see the first layer that is under this layer, let's decrease the opacity of this top layer. Now move points and handles to form a nice shadow under this cloud. Let's rename the layer to Cloud Shadow. Now in Effects and Preset panel, let's find Set Matte Effect and double click to add it to Cloud Shadow layer. For take matte from layer, let's choose this cloud layer 1. Now you can see that we have added a shadow to this cloud simply. And let's make this shape a bit darker. Again, I want to add a narrow shape to this area, like previous cloud objects. So, use Pen tool, pick a color from shadow layer, and start drawing a narrow shape here. Now duplicate it and move the anchor point to here by pressing Y key. And use this rotation tool to rotate it a bit. Again, let's add these two narrow objects to the first cloud layer. I'm sure you know how to do it. And finally, parent the shadow layer to cloud layer 1. Now select cloud layer 1 and move the anchor point to the center by pressing Ctrl, Alt, and Home buttons. And then press Ctrl, Home buttons to move the cloud to the center of the composition. Let's go back to Final Composition and drag cloud 3 over the other layers in Final Composition. And let's make it 3D. And change the scale to 20. You can duplicate this cloud 3 composition to have more small clouds over the globe object. That's it. I hope you enjoyed watching this video tutorial so far. If you want to learn how to create a 3D paper airplane in After Effects, don't miss the next amazing video. Thanks for watching and see you soon.